Now, those raging wildfires in Canada are proving pretty tough to extinguish. Local firefighters have been simply overwhelmed, so they'll soon be getting help from crews from France and the US and as far away as Australia and New Zealand. Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says it is the worst wildfire season the country has seen. Nearly all of Canada's provinces and territories are experiencing wildfires, with Quebec among the worst affected. Emergency crews have been scrambling to extinguish some 140 fires, most of them identified as out of control. More than 20,000 people have been displaced and around 7.5 million acres of land have been scorched. Smoke has been spreading across much of the country and has been drifting across parts of the United States. America's Federal Aviation Administration has temporarily halted flights from the Northeast, Ohio and Mid-Atlantic bound for New York, as a haze has reduced visibility, impacting air travel. New York, Boston, Philadelphia and Washington are among some of the cities bracing for another day of hazardous air. The dangerous pollution has forced schools across the East Coast and most outdoor sporting and cultural events to be cancelled. Well, the iconic George Washington Bridge in New York has also been shrouded in a thick veil of smoke, making it barely visible. While hospitals in the city have reported an uptick in patients with smoke-related respiratory symptoms. And for more on the wildfires, Dr. Steve Yim, Principal Investigator at the Earth Observatory of Singapore and Associate Professor at the Asian School of the Environment at Nanyang Technological University. Well, he joins us live now. Well, thanks for joining us, Dr. Yim. Let's just talk about these wildfires in Canada and the forest fires here in Southeast Asia, which we are used to. Can we draw any parallels and lessons from these fires?
For the current Canadian wildfire, is basically controlled by the dry condition, and at the same time, the pollutant emitted from the fires is transported by the corresponding low pressure system in the eastern part of the Canada, and then bring the pollutant from the Canada all the way to a northeastern part of the US. And at the same time, according to the current forecast, in the coming 2 days, that would be a slightly improvement because of the some of the showers would happen. But after that, that would be a developing of the high pressure system in Canada that would make the situation a little bit worse because of the drier condition in the Canada. And then according to the forecast right now, that the hazard probably to end by end of next week. And for coming back to our region here, and then what we the climate projection now given us the signal that the El Nino is going to happen and also going to affect our situation in Southeast Asia. And then we will have a relatively drier and warmer condition along with the positive ocean, Indian Ocean dipole effect together. So in terms of the climate condition is like very favorable for the wildfire to happen, because the drier condition would probably to enhance the chances to have the wildfire, just like the Canada over there, that the new fires right now is driven by or generated by the dry thunderstorms. So this is why we probably have to prepare the coming high chance to have the transboundary haze due to the wildfire.
And also, like the Australian bushfires, we're no stranger to that. It happened in 2019 and it, threw so much ash into the atmosphere that it basically resulted in a cooling of the southern Pacific and that La Nina climate phenomenon, which you were talking about. And basically such a phenomenon, it worsens the wildfires, right?
Yes, because the 2019, the Australian bushfires are very special because that fires last for 9 months from the first one begins. So that is a relatively longer time that the emission, the amount is huge enough. And at the same time is also transported by the strong southerly, the trade wind to bring the pollutant over the whole world, such that we have a relatively strong the effect from the aerosol to impact to the ground level temperature. So what we research found that is there are two mechanisms drive to the similar nonlinear condition. The first one is the direct radiation blocking by the aerosol, because the aerosol can block directly the solar radiation reaching to the ground level, and then the ground level temperature is which would be reduced by the less solar radiation received. Second one is the ash can change the cloud properties such that more clouds can be formed. At the same time, we have the brighter and also thicker cloud formed, and that would also help to block the solar radiation reaching to the ground level. So for the 2019 Australian bushfires cases, research found that the impact would happen, and I would always say to contribute even for the nonlinear phenomenon between 2020 to 2022. So that is what we research found. For the Canadian wildfire cases, now that's start for 2 days only. So that is still in the observation period. So we need more data to prove if that kind of fire event would generate or even offset the El Nino effect in the coming months.
So, Dr. Yim, I just want to pivot our attention to World Oceans Day, which is what we're celebrating today. And basically, there are reports saying that oceans worldwide, warmer last month than any other in May in records. To you, what is the main threat and concern here?
So there are two main concerns for in terms of hazard. The first one is the implication on the sea level rise, because the warmer oceans will contribute to the melting of the glaciers and also the ice caps that could result to the rise of the sea level. That will also increase our risk for the flooding, especially in the low-lying areas, and also the displacement of the coastal communities. The second problem would be the intensify the storm formation, because the warmer ocean would provide enough energy for the tropical storms or hurricanes to form, and especially that kind of hurricanes or storms would be more intense or more destructive than the normal one, because more energy can be provided for the formation. This is what we closely observe what will happen in the coming few months.
All right, Dr. Yim, thanks for explaining all of that to us. Thanks for your time. Dr. Steve Yim, there, Principal Investigator at the Earth Observatory of Singapore and Associate Professor at the Asian School of the Environment at NTU.